We are back celebrating Forensic Appreciation Week. I'm here with Brian Annan, who is a Metro Crime Lab investigator. And you are in charge of fingerprints.
Correct.
So first of all, let's kind of go with the 101s here. You get fingerprints from the field, you put them in this computer, and then you automatically know who committed the crime?
Well, not necessarily that easy.
Tell me a little bit about what you do here.
Okay. Well, typically a police officer or deputy will respond to a scene, let's say a burglary, and they'll process it for evidence. Sometimes they recover fingerprints, or what we refer to as latent prints, and they lift them onto a card. When the card comes into us, we evaluate the latent print to see if it has sufficient value. If it does, we can enter it into APHIS and search for a suspect. Now, sometimes it comes back to a witness or a victim,
Sure.
Whoever touched it. And we're trying to make a match. And really all the APHIS system does is provide a detective with an investigative lead. Okay. And so we can tell them that particular print belongs to so-and-so.
Gotcha. Now, and just real briefly, because I know there's way more science than we're going to try to explain here, but when you're talking about these endpoints, is that what you're speaking about? That's how you tell, like, this is a swirl, this is a, and that really, that little thing there helps.
Correct. That's a known print, so the computer in that screen right there is saying, I think that it's possible that this latent print matches this person.
Wow.
So when I look at it, I'm doing a side-by-side comparison, looking at these minutia points, like you just called it, these ending ridges and ending, or bifurcations, ending ridges, and seeing if they match the unknown.
All right. And another thing I found was interesting is sometimes when you get things back and the body might have been decomposed, mummified, or whatever, you can actually enhance the ridges in the hand to get fingerprints. Is that right?
Correct.
So that's your bucket of hands?
That's correct. Sometimes, you know, as you said, if it's a decomposition situation, the hands have mummified, and we rehydrate them to get good prints.
This is really interesting stuff, and you guys, you do a lot of good work. We're going to have more for Forensic Appreciation Week here at CSPD. Just a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of technology, a lot of smartness that the rest of us don't have. But for now, we'll toss it back to you. It is Forensic Appreciation Week, so we are appreciating forensics. I'm with Dan, a senior crime scene investigator. I don't want to sell you short. Dan, tell me a little bit about what you do and what we're standing in front of here.
This is our crime scene response vehicle, one of three that we use to respond to crime scenes. We predominantly go out with major crimes units to respond to homicides. We also do kidnappings, bank robberies, as well as a slew of other things we do back in the office. But with these vehicles, they're primarily used to respond to the crime scenes. They contain all of our supplies and materials and equipment that we use out at a crime scene.
And you have to be when you go out, you have to have everything you need, because you were saying you're sometimes up to 36 hours on a scene?
You could be out at a crime scene for multiple days,
wow.
36 hours. And yeah, depending on weather and situations that we're going to experience here in Colorado, you got to make sure that you're ready.
Yeah.
Because you don't have time to come back here to get equipment or supplies if it's raining or snowing and you're losing evidence. So
yeah, absolutely.
You have to carry as much as you can to be prepared for whatever crime scene you're going to process.
And so what's the kind of stuff that you can process in the field, or is it bringing it back here? I know you have some other stuff over here on the side of the truck. You need to take everything with you back, or can you actually do stuff in the field as well?
There are some things that we're going to look for in the field. We have metal detectors in here. We have static dust lifters that can recover like footwear impressions on a bank robbery where somebody jumps a counter.
Okay. Wow.
We have trajectory stuff where we can do trajectory rods, take measurements and determine flight paths of bullets and those things that we're going to do on scene. And then there's a lot of evidence we are going to collect and bring back here because we have different processes
Sure.
that we can do here in the lab. So
Sure.
There's a myriad of things that we can do out in the field, and then there's some limitations as well.
Gosh, and so one of the things that I think a lot of people didn't know, and I didn't know this until recently, not only do you work with CSPD, but you also work with the Sheriff's Department and then some other people. You're there for everyone.
That's correct. It's a Metro Crime Lab, which means that the El Paso County Sheriff's Office is a contributor to the crime lab. They also have agency agreements with places like Manitou Springs, Monument, Fountain, and so if they have a major crime there, they'll call the sheriff's office, and then in turn we're going to respond with them to assist in processing that scene. So all of El Paso County is what we're going to basically cover. We have in the past ended up in Teller County if need be, but predominantly all of El Paso County.
And for people watching at home, what is one thing that you really want people to know about what you do on a daily basis?
Geez, that's difficult to say. There are so many different things that we do, and that's probably the thing I love about my job is there's such a variety. We can do anything from fingerprint analysis, bloodstain pattern analysis, crime scene reconstruction, to simple things as processing a can for fingerprints, you know, pop cans. So it's the variety that we do. We have such a variety of tasks that we do.
All right. Well, there's just so much. I can't comprehend it. I'm glad there's people like you who actually can. It is Forensic Appreciation Week. They do a lot of really good stuff. We're thankful for them, and I guess we're going to toss it back to you for now. Continuing our celebration of Forensic Appreciation Week, I'm here with Stephanie in the basement, the hot tub room, right? What is happening over here?
What you're looking at here is our bullet recovery system. This is a giant steel water tank that we utilize to test fire specimens into. Essentially, that water serves to slow the bullets down gently and in a pristine condition so that we can use them later on for tool mark comparisons back in the lab.
So do you use like a gun you might find like on a crime scene to see, is that what this does?
That's the most common use for it.
Okay.
So essentially when we receive a gun from a crime scene, we'll evaluate that gun in the lab, we'll determine that it's safe to be fired, document a series of characteristics about that firearm, then we bring it out here and we actually test fire it into that water tank.
So how does this bad boy work?
Well, essentially what we'll do is we'll close the lid. When we come around front here, the blue netted area is kind of where we fire into. You can see the port up front there. Test fire at least 3 rounds, sometimes more, just depending on the needs for the case. And then we can open it up and recover those test fired bullets and then the cartridge cases from the blue net for our comparisons.
All right, well, I'm not nearly responsible enough to do this. So can you kind of show us how this works? And I'm going to stand behind you.
Sure,
okay.
Be happy to.
I'm going to do this too because they were handed to me and they said don't not wear these.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, very important.
All right. So this would be like a gun that was found, you found it to be safe after you found it at a scene, and now you're going to discharge
Absolutely
it
right. This is going to be the final test essentially that says that the firearm functions, and then we can collect those test specimens.
All right. Well, let's see what happens. I'm kind of excited about this.
Okay, and the weapon's clear.
So now, the casings are in this bag,
Exactly.
and when you open this bad boy back up, that's how you...
Exactly right. So we'll grab those cartridge cases, and those are the test-fired cartridge cases that we can then use for comparisons later on.
All right, wow, it's so hot.
It is warm. Usually got to leave it in there for just a little bit, let it cool
Heads
down.
up on that one. I don't know. I don't know what to do with this.
We'll just set it over there and let it cool a little more.
This is really neat. This is again, you guys do so much that I don't think we think about, and this is just something else that that you do to help the citizens of Colorado Springs and the surrounding area.
We do a lot of behind-the-scenes sort of stuff. In addition to these bullet and cartridge case comparisons, we can assist with shooting incident reconstruction. We can essentially accommodate for other tool mark type cases, so cut marks on wires or locks, for example, pry marks on doors, windows, that kind of thing. We also do serial number restoration, rather,
okay.
As well as distance to target determination. So if we have a victim that was shot within a particular distance, we can evaluate and determine how far the muzzle was from the firearm at the time it was discharged.
Forensic Appreciation Week. They're so much smarter than I am, so I'm done. Just y'all go now. Just do your thing. Well, continuing our Forensic Appreciation Week, I am now with Sara Foster, who is a DNA analyst, easy for you to say. Let's start off. We watch these TV shows, we watch the CSIs, we watch Dexter, we watch all these different things, and In your experience, how accurate maybe are those shows to what you do on a daily basis?
They're not very accurate. They're a great reference point when we testify in court because we can say,
like you've seen
like
in the
you might
show.
have seen on CSI. But other than that, it's just entertainment. They have to sell a show.
Yeah, yeah. So walk me through what you actually do as a DNA analyst. You go out into the field?
I have before. That's not my role now. I work in the laboratory. I look at evidence for the presence of body fluids. I also look at the evidence for the presence of other things that are suitable for DNA testing.
Gotcha.
That'd be hair and skin cells and things like that.
Right. And so, you know, again, kind of what we were talking about earlier, maybe the expectations of how long it takes to turn evidence into, you know, helping the, whoever helped solve the crime. What is, realistically, if you get a piece of evidence, like a week, 2 weeks, or just who knows?
Our unit is specialized that we can turn around evidence pretty quickly.
Okay.
We've been asked to do things overnight.
Sure.
Certainly I can't handle meetings, phone calls, court, all of that while trying to do that.
TV interviews.
TV interviews. But it is something that we can do. I would say on average it's about 45 days.
So how did you get into it? Like what led you on this path?
Well, I was probably one of the youngest viewers of Quincy M.E. I also wanted to marry James Garner because I watched the Rockford Files.
You're my new friend.
So
okay.
that
Yeah.
dates me a bit. But yeah, I've always had an interest in forensics. I was actually going to be a high school biology teacher.
Okay.
And decided that I would take this route instead. So.
All right. I guess last question, is there anything that grosses you out?
I can see anything, I can touch anything with gloves, but I can't smell certain things. So smells, they bother me.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, Forensic Appreciation Week, can't handle the smells, it's all good, but you guys do just a lot of good work for a lot of people, and we appreciate it, so thank you for your role, yeah?
Thank you.
Yay! I talk to these people, so we'll go ahead and toss it back to you now.